Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading on August the 23rd to the 27th, 2021. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of actually first, before we dive into the news that's coming out, first thing let's take a look at what happened last week. Last week, we saw uncertainty in the market. So a few things driving this. One, the geopolitical situation with Afghanistan, Taliban taking over, and the big crisis we're seeing there, a lot of people trying to get out of the country. So all of that, that is having repercussions on the market. Anytime there's any kind of geopolitical situation, it is bad for the risk markets, but it's good for the safe haven currencies. And this is why we saw the US dollar, Japanese yen, and Swiss franc. All of these are safe haven currencies. They did well last week. There was the Fed comments about tapering. So that's another thing that's been underlying the markets for a bit now. And then we have seen an increase in COVID cases across the board. Australia back in lockdown. And for other countries, US, Canada, Europe as well, the COVID cases with the Delta variant have gone up, and that is negative because it means that now with the countries going in lockdown, or maybe not many countries will go in complete lockdown, but it does have there is that underlying concern that we may have to take drastic measures. So all of that is negative for the stock markets, and hence we did see the stock market drop as well. So all in all, it was a week of risk aversion. Investors stayed away from risky assets and more towards the safe haven stuff. So that's what we're seeing overall in the market. And now going into this week here, we do have PMI numbers here. PMI numbers are important because they are precursors to our retail sales. So if the purchasing managers are buying stuff, that means they have confidence that they will be able to sell this stuff. So they're expecting higher demand. So any numbers going up will be positive. So euro here, PMI number for euro and for British pound. So again, if they come in higher than expectation, we are likely to see both euro and pound go up as a result of that. We also have US flash PMI numbers here. So we'll keep an eye on these as well. Positive numbers will be good for the currency and vice versa. Going into Tuesday, not a whole lot. We do have new home sales, which are expected to come in higher. And then on Wednesday here, we have business climate numbers, German IFO business climate numbers for the Eurozone here. So this is any positive thing, again, will be positive for the currency. And then going into Thursday, so this is where we have a lot of stuff, and we'll have to watch out for the volatility in the market. So we do have ECB. ECB at this point hasn't really talked much about tapering. So we have heard, we saw Reserve Bank of New Zealand last week did not raise rates. So New Zealand was one of the major countries. They were going to raise rates. Bank of Canada has talked about raising rates. Bank of England has sort of touched on it, but ECB has not done that. So at this point, if they keep everything the same, so if they hold everything, not expecting much of a reaction in euro. However, if they express concerns about the economy or the COVID cases going up and its impact on the economy, all of that will be negative for euro. On the other hand, though, any sort of comments in regards to tapering or raising rates, those will be positive for euro. So that's what we'll watch out for. We do have preliminary GDP numbers for the quarter. These will be important. They're expected to go up. If that's the case, that would be good for the US dollar. Now, big thing here, we have Jackson Hole Symposium and we have Fed Chair Powell speaking here. So this is where we'll have to be careful as well. This can create uncertainty for US dollar. So any sort of comments, again, in regards to the economy, concerns about the economy or economy not doing well, the variant shutting down, lockdown, all of those things will be negative for the stock market actually. And so we may, they will be negative overall, but that would mean that Fed is not going to raise rates, or they're not going to start tapering, which will be positive for the stock market and negative for the US dollar. So that's what we'll keep in mind. But if they brush off the concerns then and talk about tapering in the fall this year, that would be positive for the US dollar. So that's what we'll have to watch out for there. On Friday here, we have core PC price index. We have Powell speaking. We have consumer sentiment numbers. So a few things here that will have an impact on the US dollar. So we'll keep our eyes open there. All right, let's take a look at our charts here. As usual, we'll start off with our euro dollar. So with the euro here, we did see that price dropped. It wasn't able to go through the resistance here. Price was into some good support resistance level. It wasn't able to go through it. So we did see a drop here. Now, at this point, our bias is to the downside. We have a nice bearish candle close. So I'm looking for a bit of a pullback and then a drop here. So looking for a continuation down into 1.1600 area. So bearish bias. Now, if the price is able to go through the 1750 level, then we are basically back into the higher levels here. So price has been dropping for the last few days. So watch out for a bit of a pullback here. So in this case, bearish bias, first target is 1.1650 and then 1.1600. So bearish bias for euro dollar. And then pound dollar here, quite a drop in the pound. Price was able to break through the bottom of the range. This one had been trading sideways here for quite some time, trading in a range. It broke through the bottom of the range. Very solid bearish candle close. Now it is coming into support. So we do have to be careful with this one here as well. But bias is bearish here and looking for a continuation lower. Again, US dollar has done well recently. And because of US dollar doing well, we have seen other currencies drop. So watch out for the move in US dollar being extended, which can then turn around. So it opens the pair up to turnarounds or reversal. So that is something that we need to bear in mind as we trade US dollar here. But in this case, basically, based on just the technicals alone here, looking for a further drop. So we have a bearish bias. First target is 1.3570 and then 1.3450. So bearish bias here for pound dollar. Aussie dollar, this one as well, quite a drop here for Aussie dollar as well. In this case, bias is bearish again, and looking for, we may get a bit of a pullback here, so watch out for that. But looking for price to come back, move lower, basically drop a little bit further here. So bearish bias. And in terms of our targets here, we are looking at 0.7100 is the first target, and then 0.700 is the second target. So bearish bias here for Aussie dollar as well. New Zealand dollar, this one as well had been trading in a range for quite some time. And finally, it's broken through the bottom here. And now looking for a continuation. So we had this drop, consolidation, and then looking for a further move to the downside here, continuation pattern. Bearish bias, so first target is 0.6800. It's almost there. And next target here, 0.6700. So bearish bias for New Zealand dollar as well. Dollar CAD here, quite a move to the upside here. This one as well had been trading in a range for the last few weeks, and now it's broken through that range, and by quite a bit went all the way into the next support resistance level here. So bias here is bullish. For Canadian dollar, it was double whammy. One, US dollar went up, but then also oil dropped, and oil is a big export for Canada, and that's why we have seen Canadian dollar drop substantially as a result. So right now, bias here is bullish. And in this case, I would look for a pullback here into 1.2750 and then potential retest of the high here. So bullish bias. But again, the US dollar move has been so strong that we have to watch out. We could get pullbacks and reversals in any of the dollar crosses. Euro pound here, this one as well, looks bullish here. So in this case, bias is to the upside here. And in terms of our targets, so as we can see, price has broken through that resistance and looking for a move higher towards 0.8650. So bullish bias here for euro pound as well. And it could go all the way into 0.8670. So bullish bias for euro pound. Euro Swiss franc here, this one as well dropped, and now it has gone through the support. So next target is 1.0670. So bias here is bearish and looking for a continuation lower. And this is where it comes into some strong support. So again, watch out for that target. So target here is 1.0650. And that's where we'll have to be careful. So bearish bias for Euro Swiss franc. Pound Swiss franc, again, this was trading in a range. It had been trading in a range for quite some time. And now, as we can see, price is finally broken through and it's holding below the range. So bearish bias here, watch out for a bit of fallback here, and then looking for a continuation lower. So in this case, first target is 1.24. Actually 1.2400, and then if it does continue further, we are looking at 1.2285. So bearish bias here for pound Swiss franc as well. But again, watch out for that bit of a pullback and then a continuation lower. So we had a drop, consolidation sideways here, and now looking for a further drop here. So continuation pattern here as well. Dollar Swiss franc, this one is neutral. US dollar was strong, and so was the Swiss franc. So both of them are safe haven currencies, and hence they sort of balance each other out. That's why we have a neutral candle close. So basically looking for price to trade between 0.9240 and 0.9100. Pound yen here, this one as well had been trading in a range. And finally, price broke through the support of that range. Now looking for continuation into 148.50. And this is where we are coming into some strong support. So watch out for that, but bias is bearish. Target is 148.50 for pound yen. Euro yen, this one as well looking bearish. In this case, the target here is 127.50. So bearish bias for euro yen as well. So in this case, looking for a bit of a pullback. If it holds below 128.85, then we are looking for a further move lower towards 127.50. So bearish bias for euro yen as well. Dollar yen, this one is looking neutral. As we can see, price has been trading in a sideways range here between 109 and 110.65. So right now, bias is neutral and expecting a move within the range here. Aussie yen, quite a drop here as well for Australian dollar. So Australian dollar basically dropping with the commodities, because when there is concern in the market And as we are seeing with the COVID here, with the Delta variant here, so in this case, commodities drop because the expectation is that the demand for commodities will drop because everything will be closed, or it will have a negative impact on the demand. So that's why we have seen a drop in commodities. And when commodities drop, we see Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, and of course, the Canadian dollar drop as well, because all of these are countries that export these products. So bias is bearish here. First target is 77.85, then 77.50, and potentially 76.60. So bearish bias for Aussie yen. New Zealand yen, this one as well has broken through the support level. This was also trading in a range for a number of weeks, and now we have seen that break here to the downside. So looking for a continuation, bearish bias here, and target is 73.85. So bearish bias for New Zealand yen as well. CAD yen had quite a drop here because of oil, as well as yen being strong. So bias here is bearish again. And in this case, same thing, looking for a continuation. But again, the moves have been quite stretched, so watch out for that. First target here is 85 and then 84.30. All right, so let's take a look at our commodities here, starting off with silver. Silver dropping overall, now looking for a further drop here. 22.50 is the first target, and then potentially 22.00, so bearish bias for silver here. Gold is kind of holding its own. Now we do see a rejection from the high, which means we could see a drop here. So in this case, looking for a bit of a retest of the high at 1793, and if it holds, looking for a drop towards 1758, and then lower towards 1749 or 1750. So bearish bias here for gold, or neutral to bearish, I should say. Quite a drop in oil here, still looking bearish, but again, watch out for that pullback towards 63.50. Next target here is 60.50 and then 58.50. So bearish bias here. But again, these moves are quite stretched now, so we'll have to be careful with this ones. Copper as well, a huge drop. Again, the concern is around the demand for commodities. And in this case, bias still remains to the downside, but there's a large pin on the downside, which means we could see a further move. And then if it holds below 4.20, then we are looking for a drop here. So bias is bearish. First target 4.04 and then 3.95. So bearish bias for copper. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin has been going higher here. It has finally been able to break through the resistance of 48,000. So in terms of our Bitcoin right now does look bullish. And at the moment we are at 40, we're holding above the 48,000. So looking for a further move here. Bullish bias 50,365 and then 52,850. So bullish bias here for Bitcoin. So this is not an updated chart, but currently the price is around that 48,600 here, 700. So yeah, so bullish bias here. S&P 500, this one traded in both directions here. We did see that drop. And now we do have a large pin to the downside. So buyers came in to buy the dips here. And this is where we have to be careful. We'll have to watch where the momentum is for the market. So it looks like we are seeing buying here, dip buyers coming in, which could push the price higher. So right now I'm neutral on this. We are right into the resistance. We'll have to be careful. So neutral, once it breaks through 44.75, then we are looking at 45.30 as the new target. So overall, still maintaining that upward bias here for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, same thing. We did see the drop, but then buyers came in. our dip buyers came in and pushed the price higher. So right now it's pushing right into the resistance there. So there is bullishness, the bullish momentum, the overall bullish momentum still holding. So once we cross through the resistance, the first target is 15,170, which is the high. And then we are looking at 15,500. So neutral bias here and is likely to turn bullish. So we'll watch out for that. And then Dow Jones here. Dow Jones as well went dropped and then has pulled back. So right now, again, neutral bias here, looking for price to test the high at 35,600 and potentially 36,000. So neutral here. And DAX, this as well traded in both directions right now, looking neutral. We'll keep an eye on this in the in our dailies on the daily chart here, but right now looking for a move towards 16,000. FTSE here, FTSE did drop, but as we can see, it bounced off of the support. So looking for price to retest the high at 72.30 here. So right now bias is neutral. 72.30 is the target here. And then last but not least, we have Nekkei here. Nekkei also pushing lower. However, so neutral to bearish bias here, we may see a retest of 26,900. At that point, we'll see if it can break through the support. So this is a strong support here. If it does break through the 27,000 mark or 26,800, then 26,250 is the next target. So overall neutral to bearish bias here for Nikkei. All right, that's it for today. I am away on holidays this week, so I will not be doing the daily analysis, but I will be back for next weekend and the following week. We will continue as usual. So have a great trading week and I will see you later. Bye for now.